negotiation with the Soviet Union would be seen as a capitulation. There have been several debates about whether Germany missed a chance for reunification in 1952. In 1949 the Soviets turned control of East Germany over to the SED, headed by Wilhelm Pieck, 1876-1960, who became president of the GDR and held the office until his death, while the SED General Secretary Walter Ulbricht assumed most executive authority. Socialist leader Otto Gruttwer, 1894-1964, became Prime Minister until his death. 39. The government of East Germany denounced West German failures in accomplishing denazification and renounced ties to the Nazi past, imprisoning many former Nazis and preventing them from holding government positions. The SED set a primary goal of ridding East Germany of all traces of Nazism. 40. It is estimated that between 180,000 and 250,000 people were sentenced to imprisonment on political grounds. 41. Zones of occupation. In the Yalta and Potsdam Conferences of 1945, the Allies established their joint military occupation and administration of Germany via the Allied Control Council, ACC, a four-power, US, UK, USSR, France, military government effective until the restoration of German sovereignty. In eastern Germany, the Soviet occupation zone, SBZ Saugetische comprised the 5 states, Länder, of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, Brandenburg, Saxony, Saxony-Anhalt and Thuringia. Disagreements over the policies to be followed in the occupied zones quickly led to a breakdown in cooperation between the four powers, and the Soviets administered their zone without regard to the policies implemented in the other zones. The Soviets withdrew from the ACC in 1948, subsequently, as the other 3 zones were increasingly unified and granted self-government. The Soviet administration instituted a separate socialist government in its zone 7 years after the Allies' 1945 Potsdam Agreement on Common German Policies. The USSR via the Stalin Note, the 10th of March, 1952, proposed German reunification and superpower disengagement from Central Europe, which the 3 Western Allies, the United States, France, the United Kingdom, rejected. Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, a communist proponent of reunification, died in early March 1953. Similarly, Lavrentiy Beria, the first deputy prime minister of the USSR, pursued German reunification, but he was removed from power that same year before he could act on the matter. His successor, Nikita Khrushchev, rejected reunification as equivalent to returning East Germany for annexation to the West, hence reunification went unconsidered until 1989. East Germany regarded East Berlin as its capital, and the Soviet Union and the rest of the Eastern Bloc diplomatically recognized East Berlin as the capital. However, the Western Allies disputed this recognition, considering the entire city of Berlin to be occupied territory governed by the Allied Control Council. According to Marguerite Feinstein, East Berlin's status as the capital was largely unrecognized by the West and by most Third World countries. 42. In practice, Thieck's authority was rendered moot by the Cold War, and East Berlin's status as occupied territory largely became a legal fiction. The Soviet sector of Berlin became fully integrated into the GDR. The deepening Cold War conflict between the Western powers and the Soviet Union over the unresolved status of West Berlin led to the Berlin Blockade. 24. June 1948 – the 12th of May 1949. The Soviet Army initiated the blockade by halting all Allied rail, road, and water traffic to and from West Berlin. The Allies countered the Soviets with the Berlin Airlift, 1948-49, of food, fuel, and supplies to West Berlin. 43. Partition. West Germany, blue, comprised the Western Allies zones, excluding the Saarland, purple, The Soviet zone, East Germany, red, surrounded West Berlin, yellow. West and East Berlin with the Berlin Wall on the 21st of April, 1946. The Communist Party of Germany, Kommunistische Partei Deutschlands KPD, and the part of the Social Democratic Party of Germany, Sozialdemokratische Partei Deutschlands SPD, in the Soviet zone merged to form the Socialist Unity Party of Germany, said Sozialistische Einheitspartei Deutschlands, which then won the elections of October 1946. The said government nationalized infrastructure and industrial plants. GDR leaders, President Wilhelm Pieck and Prime Minister Otto Grutter, 1949. In March 1948 the German Economic Commission, Deutsche Wirtschaftskommission DWK, under its chairman Heinrich Rau assumed administrative authority in the Soviet occupation zone, thus becoming the predecessor of an East German government. 45. On the 7th of October 1949 the said established the Deutsche Demokratische Republik, German Democratic Republic GDR, based on a socialist political constitution establishing its control of the anti-fascist National Front of the German Democratic Republic, NF National Front der Deutschen Demokratischen Republik, an omnibus alliance of every party and mass organization in East Germany. The NF was established to stand for election to the Volkskammer, People's Chamber, the East German Parliament. First and only president of the German Democratic Republic was Wilhelm Pieck. Control of the Germany towards the German Democratic Republic is assessed in the light of its deterrent policy, in particular, the
Now I did it. I was sleepy and I clicked the text. Then it stopped reading. Sorry for that. We have to read page by page now. Because I did this. That's because I'm sleepy. And I have my fingers on the mouse, so then I'm clicking the mouse. I do that. That's because I'm always very sleepy, because I just get up every morning, no matter how late I'm sleeping. So let's read page by page.
West Germany, blue, comprised the Western Allies zones, excluding the Saarland, purple, the Soviet zone, East Germany, red, surrounded West Berlin, yellow. West and East Berlin with the Berlin Wall on the 21st of April, 1946. The Communist Party of Germany, Kommunistische Partei Deutschlands KPD, and the part of the Social Democratic Party of Germany, Sozialdemokratische Partei Deutschlands SPD, in the Soviet zone merged to form the Socialist Unity Party of Germany, said Sozialistische Einheitspartei Deutschlands, which then won the elections of October 1946. The said government nationalized infrastructure and industrial plants. GDR leaders, President Wilhelm Pieck and Prime Minister Otto Grutter, 1949. In March 1948 the German Economic Commission, Deutsche Wirtschaftskommission DWK, under its chairman Heinrich Rau assumed administrative authority in the Soviet occupation zone, thus becoming the predecessor of an East German government. 45. On the 7th of October 1949 the said established the Deutsche Demokratische Republik, German Democratic Republic GDR, based on a socialist political constitution establishing its control of the anti-fascist National Front of the German Democratic Republic, NF National Front der Deutschen Demokratischen Republik, an omnibus alliance of every party and mass organization in East Germany. The NF was established to stand for election to the Volkskammer, People's Chamber, the East German Parliament. First and only president of the German Democratic Republic was Wilhelm Pieck. However, after 1950, Political power in East Germany was held by the first secretary of the said, Walter Albrecht. 46, said first secretary, Walter Albrecht, 1960. On the 16th of June, 1953, workers constructing the new Starliner Lee Boulevard in East Berlin according to the GDR's officially promulgated 16 Principles of Urban Design, rioted against a 10% production quota increase. Initially a labor protest, the action soon included the general populace, and on the 17th of June similar protests occurred throughout the GDR, with more than 1 million people striking in some 700 cities and towns. Fearing anti-communist counter-revolution, on the 18th of June 1953 the government of the GDR enlisted the Soviet occupation forces to aid the police in ending the riot. Some 50 people were killed and 10,000 were jailed. 47, 48, see Uprising of 1953 in East Germany. The German war reparations owed to the Soviets impoverished the Soviet zone of occupation and severely weakened the East German economy. In the 1945-46 period the Soviets confiscated and transported to the USSR approximately 33% of industrial plant and by the early 1950s had extracted some $10 billion in reparations in agricultural and industrial products. 49. The poverty of East Germany, induced or deepened by reparations, provoked the Republic flood, desertion from the Republic to West Germany, further weakening the GDR's economy. Western economic opportunities induced a brain drain. In response, the GDR closed the inner German border, and on the night of the 12th of August, 1961, East German soldiers began erecting the Berlin Wall. 50. Erich Honecker, Head of State, 1971-1989, in 1971. Albrecht was removed from leadership after Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev supported his ouster. Winking sad smiley. 51. Erich Honecker replaced him. While the Albrecht government had experimented with liberal reforms, the Honecker government reversed them. The new government introduced a new East German constitution which defined the German Democratic Republic as a republic of workers and peasants. 52. Initially, East Germany claimed an exclusive mandate for all of Germany, a claim supported by most of the communist bloc. It claimed that West Germany was an illegally constituted puppet state of NATO. However, from the 1960s onward, East Germany began recognizing itself as a separate country from West Germany and shared the legacy of the United German State of 1871-1945. This was formalized in 1974 when the reunification clause was removed from the revised East German constitution. West Germany, in contrast, maintained that it was the only legitimate government of Germany. From 1949 to the early 1970s, West Germany maintained that East Germany was an illegally constituted state. It argued that the GDR was a Soviet puppet state, and frequently referred to it as the Soviet occupation zone. West Germany's allies shared this position until 1973. East Germany was recognized primarily by socialist countries and by the Arab bloc, along with some scattered sympathizers. 53. According to the Holstein Doctrine, 1955, West Germany did not establish formal diplomatic ties with any country except the Soviets that recognized East German sovereignty. Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, West Germany, Helmut Schmidt, Chairman of the State Council of the German Democratic Republic, East Germany, Erich Honecker, U.S. President Gerald Ford, and Austrian Chancellor Bruno Kreisky signing the Helsinki Act in the early 1970s. The Ostpolitik, Eastern policy, of change through rapprochement of the pragmatic government of FRG Chancellor Willy Brandt, established normal diplomatic relations with the East Bloc states. This policy saw the Treaty of Moscow, August 1970, the Treaty of Warsaw, December 1970. The Four-Power Agreement on Berlin, September 1971. The Transit Agreement, May 1972, and the Basic Treaty, December 1972, which relinquished any separate claims to an exclusive mandate over Germany as a whole and established normal relations between the two Germanys. Both countries were admitted into the United Nations on 18 September 1973. This also increased the number of countries recognizing East Germany to 55, including the US, UK and France, though these three still refused to recognize East Berlin as the capital, and insisted on a specific provision in the UN resolution accepting the two Germanys into the UN Totaleffekt. 53. Following the Ostpolitik, the West German view was that East Germany was a de facto government within a single German nation and a de-state organization of parts of Germany outside the Federal Republic. The Federal Republic continued to maintain that it could not within its own structures recognize the GDR de jure as a sovereign state under international law, but it fully acknowledged that, within the structures of international law, the GDR was an independent sovereign state. By distinction, West Germany then viewed itself as being within its own boundaries, not only de facto and de jure government, but also the sole de jure legitimate representative of a dormant Germany as whole. 54. The two Germanys each relinquished any claim to represent the other internationally, which they acknowledged as necessarily implying a mutual recognition of each other as both capable of representing their own populations de jure in participating in international bodies and agreements, such as the United Nations and the Helsinki Final Act. This assessment of the Basic Treaty was confirmed in a decision of the Federal Constitutional Court in 1973. Winking sad smiley. 55. The German Democratic Republic is in the international law sense a state and as such a subject of international law. This finding is independent of recognition in international law of the German Democratic Republic by the Federal Republic of Germany. Such recognition has not only never been formally pronounced by the Federal Republic of Germany but on the contrary repeatedly explicitly rejected. If the conduct of the Federal Republic of Germany towards the German Democratic Republic is assessed in the light of its détente policy, in particular, the conclusion of the treaty as de facto recognition, then it can only be understood as de facto recognition of a special kind. The special feature of this treaty is that while it is a bilateral treaty between two states, to which the rules of international law apply and which like any other international treaty possesses validity, it is between two states that are parts of a still existing, albeit incapable of action as not being reorganized, comprehensive state of the whole of Germany with a single body politic. 56. Travel between the GDR and Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary became visa-free from 1972. 57. GDR identity. Karl Marx Monument in Chemnitz, renamed Karl Marx Stadt from 1953 to 1990, from the beginning, the newly formed GDR tried to establish its own separate identity. 58. Because of the imperial and military legacy of Prussia, the said repudiated continuity between Prussia and the GDR. The said destroyed a number of symbolic relics of the former Prussian aristocracy. Junker manor houses were torn down, the Berliner Stadtschloss was razed and the equestrian statue of Frederick the Great was removed from East Berlin. Instead, the said focused on the progressive heritage of German history, including Thomas Munzer's role in the German Peasants' War of 1524-1525 and the role played by the heroes of the class struggle during Prussia's industrialization. Especially after the Ninth Party Congress in 1976, East Germany upheld historical reformers such as Karl Freiherr Wurmstein, 1757-1831. Karl August von Hardenberg, 1750-1822, Wilhelm von Humboldt, 1767-1835, and Gerhard von Scharnhorst, 1755-1814.